Good evening and welcome to Going for Two. This is the only YouTube podcast in human recorded history to feature a male and female host drinking our way through the important topics of the day, as long as they touch the football world and not in that way. I am Zach Law. This is Sharona Stormborn. This week Sharona brings the beer and I bring the guest. I'd like to say hello to Don, the number one fan. I don't know. He's in school mode, so we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to talk him into doing our redraft in a couple weeks. So before we get really rolling, let's introduce our guest. I didn't get to do this last time because I was a lame guy going out for a company steak dinner and tried to call in on a crappy Google Hangout app, which was terrible. I'm glad
it was terrible.
It hung up on me because the audio was amazingly bad. I mean, I'm driving in my car. What a surprise. But Mike does IDP for 4 for 4 and is a happy Clevelander who is considering getting the RG3 jersey tattoo combo.
Well, not just yet. Maybe airbrushed. But yeah, good to be back. Hopefully things are going well. We're headed into it's draft season.
He is a company man. I mean, he's got the outfit going. I joked that he's got like the same outfit as the last time he was on because, you know,
hey,
he's representing, man.
Hey, I've done laundry between now and then, and I can't help that these T-shirts and hoodies are some of the most comfortable things I've ever worn in my life.
You got to get the swag going. We need I would think with Going for Two, we just go with the like beer openers.
If I would have had a hat, I could have had the hat trick going, but you know, I don't know. Have to get with Josh for hats.
Exactly. So tonight on the beer list, my opener, Omegang, got the light right here. It's pretty hard to see. Lovely, dark, and deep. This is an oatmeal stout.
Yum!
A few months ago, I posted about getting a bargain on beers because I usually buy kind of expensive beers, but the Total Wine near me just happened to be by the place where I was getting my oil changed. Total coincidence. They had a bunch of spring and winter beers that were like on sale, so I got this for like half price. I got a Golden Carlous, like a Belgian Christmas ale, and a few other ones, including a Redneck Stout that I'm gonna have to bring up for when I come to Nashville. That'll be right up the alley. And of course, once that's done, because it will be done, we'll be drinking an Oakmeal. This is a bitter chocolate bourbon barrel stout.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Anniversary beer. I was gonna open this. You know, you get a beer like, you know, I've been kind of stocking up on bombers. I haven't been drinking them. Like, well, let me save this for next week. We're doing a live auction. I'm like, screw that. I'm having this tonight. So I'm all
surprised
stout
you didn't say
all
that
the time.
for Nashville, because you know I'd be like all jelly trying to drink it.
Well, I can always get more. You know, I did kind of a stock up
Stouts are
last
my
week.
favorite.
And I got some stuff lined up. It's gonna be a good time. There might
I gotta
be
go get
some goodies headache powder required for that Nashville weekend.
I gotta go get some brandy, and I'm having trouble getting in touch with my hairdresser, so I might have to make an emergency trip to Nashville to get my old one to do it, because Mike, I just moved. Oh gosh, it's been a year ago, but the hairdresser that I'm using is a friend of my sister's, and we don't see eye to eye on what to do with my hair, and so it's kind of been a dramatic situation for me.
Where you don't want someone to wing it, right?
Well, I've been messing with it myself, which is, you know, funny. All right, so real quick, I've got, I'm doing a draft, and I've got one after this show, too. So I'm doing a Fat Cats IDP Draft Master 15 mock draft, and my roster, I've already taken my linebacker, which was Jamie Collins. I know everybody approves of that. I took him, I think, in round 10 or 11. Yeah, so and my quarterback is Cam Newton. My running back.
You love that Cam Newton, I tell you.
Just Derek. Huh?
Yeah, Cam's good at scoring the touchdowns. He's good with the football.
Yeah.
Just Cam and Derek show.
That football thing. Justin Forsett, Derrick Henry, David Johnson, my boo, David Johnson, Eddie Lacy, And then my wide receivers are Doug Baldwin, Devin Funchess, Alan Hearns, Tyler Lockett, and Tajay Sharp. Of course. Well, it gets even better. Guess who my tight ends are?
Delaney Walker and Delaney Walker.
Delaney Walker and Julius Thomas, and of course the aforementioned linebacker. And let me see. Let me try to. How do I share this? Let me try to share this. Screen share. This is these are my options right now.
All right, so 14th round and
Samus Jamis, y'all.
I'm thinking about taking Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is my second quarterback. I've got 2 tight ends. I could take a third tight end. Marcus Wheaton, I'm not taking him.
How many IDPs do you start in a given week?
How many what?
How many IDPs do you start? Like, do you
Here
start?
Here are the roster rules.
It's usually I'm trying to think of this is the one that you do 2 of each and then a flex.
Well,
that is scoring. So
that's scoring. I'm trying to see. Let's see.
Go to your probably your league settings.
League settings. Okay.
There you go. So go down 2 running backs, 2 receivers. You can go 2 to 3 defensive ends, 2 to 3 linebackers, and 2 DBs. Okay. Go to your roster again, if you don't mind.
My roster?
Yeah. So Cam from all right. Go to your draft. So you're up.
I'm up.
All right. Go ahead and clicky on the DEs.
Yeah, I wonder how many's been taken so far. Probably not too many.
They don't. The rankings. You don't get ADP.
Yeah. Go.
I know sometimes you have to reset that to get
go
it.
Scoring. Go by scoring.
I did. Here's the 2015 year-to-date points.
All
so
right.
Got.
Looks like all the top guys are gone.
Derek Wolf's still out there.
Come on. No.
No.
I mean, I like him, but you're not going to make him your first defensive lineman. Out of those guys,
Gerald Casey.
Now you're just being a homer.
Well,
I like Casey. Out of the guys, I've got Bennett and Vernon ranked 8th and 9th, or 9th and 10th. So I've got those 2 guys pretty close. So I have no problem with Vernon or Bennett as your first defensive lineman. I'd like to get one of those guys and secure a guy that can get you double-digit sacks.
Okay.
Linebacker is deep, so linebacker is pretty deep, so you can get probably another solid linebacker on the turn coming back, and defensive back is so deep you'll be able to secure a pretty decent one regardless.
All right, I took Vernon.
Okay. Vernon's been really good in the preseason in the amount of snaps that he's played, so I think him and Jason Pierre-Paul are going to be pretty good, so I do like Vernon. So
awesome, thanks, guys.
That's a good pick.
See, wasn't that nice? So, Mike, when it comes to like a redraft doing IDP, are you still going linebacker first and then trying to get that kind of top 12 D? Is it that deep of a position?
Linebacker is really deep. There's about 25 linebackers that can probably produce in a given week, like top numbers. So, if you miss out on the top guys, you're still able to secure a guy that'll get you 100 tackles, 120 tackles in a season, later on. I do still like getting a top linebacker and now a defensive lineman that can get double-digit sacks, just because that's the way the league is going now. I mean, it's such a pass-happy league. There's more passing going on than running, and I think you got to get a guy. I used to stream both defensive line and DB and just load up on linebackers, but now if you don't get a guy that's going to consistently get you a sack every other game, I think you're going to be behind a little bit. So I like to try to get one of those elite linebackers and try to get like a top 5 defensive lineman. You know, someone now that Khalil Mack is now in the mix. Talking
Yeah.
about the preseason, Khalil Mack is now back in the mix at defensive line. So I have him and J.J. Watt at like 1A and 1B in their own tier. So if you don't get any of those two guys, I think Robert Quinn is a pretty solid pickup. I still like Ezekiel Ansah. I think he's also going a little bit underlooked, even though he had a huge season last year. But I think Robert Quinn is one of the guys that I really like that's going to be overlooked because of injury last year. So, and that Rams defensive line between him, Aaron Donald, and you've got Alec Ogletree at linebacker, that defensive line is really good. So that's kind of the way I like to get. And then once you get your elite defensive linemen, pile up on linebackers, and then, you know, go for that tier 2, tier 3 defensive lineman.
Yeah, I was watching part of Hard Knocks earlier, and I wasn't surprised because I knew it, but I was like, wow, William Hayes, that's actually one of the Titans players that Jeff Fisher signed who actually did pretty well. Although his little bit about not believing in dinosaurs was, well, it was kind of entertaining at least.
But mermaids are totally a thing.
He said he didn't believe in dinosaurs, and then people put all these little dinosaurs in his locker. That was great. But then it was like, well, what's a dinosaur in the water? You know, a shark, and what about an alligator? Like, let me think about that. I was like, well, might want to.
And then he's like, and then what about fossils? Oh, they're just placed there. It's like, really? Okay.
I could have come up with a paleontologist.
Well, Jared Goff didn't know where the sun doesn't know where the sun rises and.
Well, somebody posted a story about it was like Peyton Manning didn't know how to open a can of soup after college, and I was like, well, that's possible, but I don't know. But let me go ahead and it's the time of night. It's time for the oak meal, so I'm gonna actually live open a bottle of beer. It's always a good idea. Corked and caged, only the good stuff. Of course, if it doesn't actually open, that's a problem.
Whose jersey are you wearing?
I might have to use the teeth here. This confused one of my coworkers today. It's this is Kellen Winslow, Missouri.
It looks like a Steelers jersey.
That's the problem. There was a time when Missouri wore black and gold, and that's over, of course. Now they got to wear yellow and off gray and all that crap.
So it's a Missouri jersey?
Yeah, it's a throwback. It's they had these throwbacks for all these professional players, and Missouri's had a Liberty Bowl patch where most of them had actual real bowls, that other schools go to that are good. So yeah, this thing's not actually opening. I'm gonna have to get a corkscrew out, use my teeth, and possibly damage my ceiling.
No way.
Sometimes the cork beers just don't go. So talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna try to take care of this thing here.
I know you're a gamer, Sharona, but
yes.
I gotta tell you, I am really, really excited for the mini NES.
Oh yeah?
It
does look pretty cool.
I am so pumped for that just because that's what I grew up with, and I get so frustrated when I play these new games that I have to wait an hour for an update for the hardware, and then I have to wait 2 hours for a software update, and next thing you know, it's 4 hours, and I haven't even played anything yet, and I miss the days where I could just pop in a cartridge and start playing. So I cannot wait for the mini NES. That's going to be my video game purchase this year.
Yeah, it looks very cool. Oh, sorry. Oops, I had to pull this up because I've got a snake to start. I don't have any.
Over to beer. My gosh.
I don't have any mini. The little mini games that were real popular there, for a while, and the PS4 is coming out with a real teeny tiny slim version, of it, and of course the Xbox One has I forget what they call their new console, but I have my Xbox One, and I want, because backward compatible is growing and growing, and you're getting more and more games. As soon as they get just a few more games, I'm probably going to get rid of my You don't really get that much money for them, so I still have my
Yeah.
PS3. But yeah, it's been so long since I've played anything else besides this next gen Xbox One that I I'm kind of attached to it, I suppose. You just get used to something, and I definitely don't like the PSN network very much at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, very exciting. I can't wait to hear how you like it.
Oh yeah. I am very excited. I don't know what to play first. I mean, they've got.
When are you gonna get it?
I'm hoping to get it the day it comes out. I think it's sometime early November.
Okay,
So I'm keeping an eye on Best Buy to see if I can pre-order it or something. But I will. Yeah, I'll be there first day or something getting it.
very
Now, is that a
cool.
game you're getting or console? What's?
The mini Nintendo,
Oh,
the little
right,
mini
yeah.
Nintendo with the 30 games loaded on.
Yeah.
I'm super
I
excited about
I
that.
was annoyed that they didn't have that old hockey game where they had the skinny, the medium, and the fat ones because that was the only game. My nephews would kill me in any video game, but I'm like, let me play the old Nintendo hockey game, and they just couldn't figure it out. Like
I
it's
think
so
it was just
small,
called ice hockey.
diabolical. Yeah,
I think it was just called ice hockey, and then one of my I don't think it's on there, but Blades of Steel was I think my favorite hockey game on that.
yeah, that was the one people liked, and I don't even know if they have one of the Tecmo Bowls, right? If they don't, I don't know if they have the one with
Yeah,
the
the
actual
first Tecmo Bowl.
players.
Yeah, the Tecmo Bowl is on there, so it'll be interesting if they update it with like new players or if it's going to have like Bo Jackson and Jerry Rice and
Yeah.
all the old school players.
Yeah, that will be interesting. It's been a few years since I've gotten Madden, so I think I'm actually going to do
Mhm.
Madden this year. I hear it's good. Everybody seems to like it.
The Titans are highly rated, right? And somebody knows they're the highest rated team in the AFC South, not
Yep.
in the NFL.
Well, I mean, they've got some nice players.
They have to bump up one Tajay Sharp. So the preseason is on. We've had 2 whole weeks, and the hype's there. But Mike, what are some of the defensive guys that are standing out, or maybe they're confirming your suspicions that they're going to break out this year?
Well, I mean, since some of the game 3 will definitely be a big week to watch. Some of the starters are only playing a handful of snaps, so it's but you know what you're going to get with those elite guys. Some things like I mentioned earlier, Khalil Mack is playing defensive end, so that's a big change.
That's very
The Kansas
exciting.
City. Yeah, I mean, even though he was a pretty good linebacker, he's definitely more valuable on the line. The Kansas City linebacker situation is still something to watch. I thought Ramik Wilson was going to be the guy that was going to start opposite Derek Johnson, but it looks like Justin March is getting some reps with the ones. So if that continues on into Game 3, that will be a pretty big shift because that will pretty much signify March is going to get the majority of the snaps at inside linebacker. In terms of the Cleveland situation, Demario Davis and Christian Kirksey look to have their spot solidified. Joe Schobert has been pretty good, but he's still a little undersized, and I don't think he's going to compete for very many snaps inside. And Ibrahim Campbell is probably going to be a nice sleeper at safety. The New York linebacker situation, the Giants linebacker situation, is probably something I would avoid just because there's just too many linebackers that are competing for similar spots, and it's going to be very difficult to narrow down which one is going to be the 3 down. And if it's who I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be Jonathan Casillas. I don't see him having a whole lot of value either way. So the New York Giants linebacker situation, I'm kind of avoiding. And those are kind of the big situations right now that I've kind of seen, kind of narrow out. Oh, and Green Bay. Jake Ryan hasn't been playing, and Blake Martinez, the rookie, has been wearing the green dot, so they say, the communication device. So he's been on the field for the majority of the snaps that he's been getting the start. So if that continues, I think him and Jake Ryan are going to be a pretty good duo at linebacker for Green Bay. Sam Barrington is probably going to go to the bench, so he's not going to have too much IDP value. So those are the situations that I've kind of that have kind of stuck out to me at the outset. Shaq Thompson is really good, so I think he's another linebacker that's primed for breakout in Carolina. The Carolina linebacker situation, you could even draft Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson and conceivably start them both in a given week. I think both have tremendous upside.
Yeah, see, I got to go through like all the emotions during that because you said Blake Martinez. I'm like, hey, I just drafted him in our rookie draft in my dynasty league, and then you mentioned Shaq Thompson. I was like, I think I cut him.
Yeah.
And somebody else picked him up because I was reading your article about breakouts, and I'm like, are these guys available in my league? And just about all of them aren't because we have 60-man rosters right now, so it's pretty deep. So is Anthony Hitchens going to be anything in Dallas? Because I kind of picked him up when Orlando McClain got suspended again. And do you go ahead and like preemptively pick up every backup for Dallas because all their guys are getting suspended or injured?
Yeah, you kind of have to have your head on a swivel with Dallas. Hitchens right now, yeah, he's going to be the guy that's, de facto going to get, the snaps at linebacker. But, I mean, if you have the room, he's certain, if you have the room and the depth. But I think it's pretty much going to be Sean Lee that's going to be getting the majority of the tackles. And
if he can stay on the field.
Just don't say that. I don't like predicting injury. And typically when there's trouble at the linebacker position, Barry Church is usually somebody that's going to come up and play near the line of scrimmage, and he's another guy that's going to get a lot of tackles. So Hitchens, if he plays snaps, I'm projecting him to probably get anywhere between 70, 80 total tackles this season if he holds up. He'll probably be, third or fourth linebacker that you have as bench depth, and someone you maybe start during a bye week filler.
Cool. What about Justin Houston? Is he going to come back later this year, or do you think he might be out of it?
Is he still? Is he hurt still?
Yeah, I don't think that he's practiced.
Kind of late. Yeah. All those PUP guys, he had to wait.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs may be starting the season maybe without him and Barry. I mean, if Houston comes on, I mean, obviously he's going to be a force, but it's just for him. I think it might be one of those situations that you monitor. Without him, they're going to really struggle doing any type of out of a pass rush. So it'll be interesting to see if he can come back and kind of be his old self.
Okay, I'll stop mentioning guys on my team. Is it pretty set that Jalen Smith is going to either take the year off or at least be on PUP?
I'm not counting on him for redraft this year. Certainly, if you're in a dynasty league, he's obviously worth picking up. I think he'll be ready. He's probably someone that's going to probably start playing next year. I'm not really counting on him for this year. Definitely dynasty target, next year's target.
What's the word on David Dodd? What are you seeing and hearing about him, and is he how's he doing in dynasty?
Kevin Dodd?
Kevin Dodd.
Yeah,
David
Kevin
Dodds
Dodd.
from
I'm sorry, Kevin Dodd.
He has
My bad.
every down potential. He's still
I'm excited to see him. He was one of the guys I had in my rookie article as a potential guy that can get some playing time right out of the gate. So yeah, he and you got Derek Morgan there, and I do like Jarrell Casey. So yeah, Narekpo. So I think if he can even still get in some snaps. Again, redraft it'll be tough, and with those outside linebackers so inconsistent with scoring, probably not someone you're going to count on this year. Again, depending on your scoring, but definitely a dynasty chip, especially if you're in a big play scoring format.
Is there a guy that you're seeing out there who's kind of flying under the radar? It's kind of tough to talk about those guys in regular leagues, but in IDP, you can still find some hidden gems.
A couple of guys. I really like Ben Heaney from Oakland, playing alongside Malcolm Smith. Malcolm Smith is getting, he's getting drafted, earlier, obviously, but Ben Heaney, I do believe, is the one that's going to be wearing the communication device. So, and he's looked pretty decent in the snaps that he's played in the preseason. And Will Compton from Washington, I think, is also someone that's going under the radar. Certainly has potential. He's produced, I think last year was averaging around 6 or 7 tackles a game. So, and it is typically an every down linebacker. So those two guys, I think, are usually going undrafted. So you can get them either for free or basically very, very late at the end of your draft. And those guys have, 90 to 100 tackle potential this year.
How are you liking Danny Trevathan in Chicago?
I really like where he went. So with Trevathan, I actually have him ranked right at the cusp of a LB1. I have him ranked 12th so far.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
wow.
I really like him. I think he produced pretty well in Denver.
I was surprised they let him walk.
I was too. They're going to rely heavily on Brandon Marshall and Todd Davis. And Davis is kind of a guy that has been a special teamer, hasn't played a whole lot of snaps. So Todd Davis is another one that's really going under the radar and is basically being undrafted, and is another guy that you can get that does have upside. I tabbed as a breakout, but I like Trevathan. I think him and Freeman are going to be pretty solid linebackers in Chicago.
Yeah, both guys that I really liked with their former teams, and kind of moved on to new pastures. And I'm curious to see what the Bears do this year.
Yeah, I think they. I thought they lost one of their first round pick. The name escapes me. He was a pass rusher. Thought it was Leonard something. I know. Leonard Floyd.
Georgia?
Yeah. I don't think his injury was too serious, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do as far as a pass rush. Like I said, Trevathan and Freeman can make plays, linebackers. So high tackle upside there.
Very good.
It's all about the upside. Now, this year, will you target guys from like the Jaguars now that they actually seem to have some talent, but they'll probably still be trailing all the time?
It's funny. The Jaguars could be a team that could cannibalize each other in terms of their numbers. It's really they're going to be a very interesting case. The one guy I am avoiding is Paul Posluszny, just for the fact that I don't know if he's going to be a 3-down linebacker this year. I know, and he's also still he was coming back from injuries, and like I said, I don't know if he's going to be the 3-down linebacker. Obviously, they got Telvin Smith. They drafted Miles Jack, so they may be looking to the future there with Jacksonville. Obviously, he's still being paid a ton of money, but yeah, with Posluszny playing the middle, and I think Telvin's going to be playing weak side. It'll be interesting to see what they do. And then you've got the safety position, which is also a little bit up in the air. Jonathan Cyprien and James Sample are battling for starting strong safety position. Cyprien, obviously the incumbent, but hasn't been playing very well. James Sample, was going to have a chance to, kind of eat into more of his playing time as maybe the training camp or preseason and the season goes on. So
that safety class was kind of woof.
Yeah, it was. So
he came in with DJ Swearinger and the guy in Baltimore whose name escapes me. You know who I'm talking.
Not
about.
Eric
Not Eric Reed.
No, he's on San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'll look it up real quick.
Pretty cool. We all got it wrong. That was awesome.
I can't. I think it is Eric, but I can't remember. Hang on. We'll pull it up. I'm pretty sure he's still
Matt Elam.
Elam. Yeah, Matt Elam. That's it. There we go. I knew there was an E in there. Yeah. That safety class.
Elam has fallen out of favor. Yeah. Actually, no. Sample came in with the group with Clayton Gaithers, and I think Gaithers is one that's going to be. He's going to be starting in Indianapolis, so he's another one to watch in terms of safety. So I like him to have a breakout season as well. That's why I like the DB and waiting on DB, because there's always breakouts and there's always guys that are going to appear out of nowhere. So if you don't get Rashad Jones, don't sweat it. You can get someone like Eric Weddle pretty cheap. He's falling. So, and I think he's going to return to form, and he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, which I like.
Now, how frustrating is it for IDP players to deal with position changes? Because in some leagues, it's just defensive line, linebacker, defensive back. But in some leagues, you know, they split it out, and now a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, Mr. Honey Badger, is like going to be listed as a cornerback.
Yeah.
Does that cause frustration? Do you wish that like IDP was kind of like fantasy baseball, that guys could actually be listed on multiple positions, or do you just have to kind of go with the flow with that?
At this point, it's still IDP. It's still not to the point where it can be where things can be standardized. I know one of the guys, one of the tremendously smart IDPs, Jeff Ratcliffe, at Pro Football Focus, has talked about, designating certain positions as like an edge rusher or outsider, really narrowing it down and really getting specific. I don't know if we're ever going to get to that point. I think, unfortunately, I don't know if people just don't care, or if league commissioner sites can't handle the separations of the positions. But, I mean, as of right now, it's just going to be one of those things where you're just going to have to monitor positions. In some cases, Tyrann Mathieu, I think on my fantasy league, he's listed as a safety. So some leagues he may be listed as a cornerback. I think in either way, he's an elite player. So for someone like him, I don't really worry about the position designation too much. He's going to be a guy that I would try to roster regardless.
Yeah, he's so good.
He plays, I think he plays safety in their base, and then I think he plays cornerback in their sub packages. So he plays all over the field. He's not a guy I really worry about too much.
Yeah, two guys that were intriguing are guys that are switching positions. They're going from like cornerback to safety. Mm-hmm. What about Ladarius Webb and then Brandon Browner, who of course was burnt toast last year? But those are guys you actually target in IDP.
Yeah, Ladarius Webb is an interesting case. I put, as soon as I saw him as a safety, it was like, all right, well, he put up some pretty decent numbers when he was corner. I've been reading some good things that Harbaugh thinks he can be a good player. He can be a good play at safety, especially if he's starting at strong safety, where he's going to be able to make a majority of plays. And then Browner, he was one of the guys you'd want to pick on. So, with him at safety, I think, again, he's someone I'd probably not even look at. He could be one of those waiver wire pickups. But Ladarius Webb definitely is someone, you could tab as, a third or fourth defensive back. I think he's someone that can bring some value. He can play everywhere. He has experience blitzing. He has experience covering the run. He can cover slot. And he's a guy that is very versatile, that can kind of play everywhere over the field. Browner, maybe not so much.
Poor Browner. I actually picked him up as a flyer. And the thing about, cornerbacks is they're kind of like the Miller Lite of defensive players. You kind of can just, all right, bring the next one on, and you're okay with that. And you can find guys during the season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's just... and if you find one that is opposite the elite guy, I think that is, those are the guys that I try to target, the guys that are opposite the elite corners. So you have Richard Sherman, maybe look to the guy opposite Richard Sherman. Joe Hayden, maybe look to the guy opposite Joe Hayden, and so on and so forth. So those are typically the guys I like to target. And rookies are going to get thrown at quite often as they get tested. So I've been reading a lot of good things on Jalen Ramsey out of Jacksonville. So someone to keep an eye on. But yeah, the rookie corners are going to get tested, and the second corners that are playing opposite the elite guys.
Yeah, I think Jalen Ramsey went in the third round of our dynasty rookie draft. Mm-hmm. And I remember drafting a young buck named Mark Barron in the third round. And the thing was, I cut him, but now he's like a linebacker, and he actually has pretty good value. Like, some of these guys can switch positions, and it works out. And by the way, Sharon, I think you'd really like this beer, so I might have to get another one. And
please do bring me one.
Went up to Nashville, but there's just so many beers, so little time, right? That's how it goes.
Hey, Mike.
Unfortunately,
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, with Mark Barron, he held more value as a defensive back. Since he moves to linebacker, he kind of just becomes just another linebacker.
It's just another guy. He's a
So
Jag.
he is, but I mean, he's a good Jag, but he gets muddled into that second tier. I mean, he can kind of do everything else that the other linebackers can do. So it's kind of a bummer. Everybody was really bummed when him and Buchanan lost their safety or defensive back designation.
Sort of the popular theory in fantasy right now is the zero theory. You saw it with running
Yep.
backs, and you're kind of seeing it with quarterbacks, and that they're sort of streamable. Are there any positions in IDP that you consider to be streamable?
Definitely the defensive back. I used to think that way on defensive line, but now I like to get at least one elite defensive line. But the cornerback and the defensive back position, yeah, I typically will wait on that position. Is typically as far as I can wait. Like in one draft, I got who did I get in one of my drafts? I know I got T.J. Ward. I got Eric Weddle, and I kept Landon Collins. So I mean, I've got those are three
good guys.
Three solid guys right there.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
typically waiting, you can get a lot of really solid value just by waiting on the position.
Very good.
So let's do the typical kind of preseason hype. Now, I was finishing up because I put enough money in to do 4 MFL 25s. And I'm so sad the one with Sharona's gone because I had fun kind of smack talking with Sharona as she was.
I like that team.
And the sad part is I got in one with Jen, FF Degenerate, and she's just so nice. It's like if you talk smack to her, she's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
okay. The funny thing though is she was in DC this weekend for like I can't remember, Jake Seeley. I don't know if there was an official designation, but she was in. So she joined in a MFL 25 with me, but then she timed out and she took like Cam Newton the 3rd round, and I was like, oh, that's definitely a drunk timeout right there. That was the only thing I had going for me. But there was a point. The point was I actually did take Kristen Michael in one of my MFL 25s. I took him, I think, in the 12th round. What do you think about the hype for him? Does he have a shot at this, either a starting job? Does Seattle go running back by committee? They have 3 draft picks, and a couple other guys I saw. I was watching their preseason game, so I don't know. How does it look?
I think Jeff Janis, and there's a few other guys.
Jared Cook's been away for like 8
so
years.
Much. There's so many of those types of guys. It's so funny how people will die on the hill for those guys. Is Bishop Sankey still a thing, or are people still trying to make Bishop Sankey a thing?
I think he's finally.
Is he finally done?
I think they're trying to showcase him to maybe try to trade him if they can.
It is unfortunate that the Titans have depth at a position that they probably can't get anything in trade for. So, yeah, watch the guys they cut. They might end up on another roster at least.
Well, if Christian Michael gets cut, well, I would have thought the Browns would have picked him up, but I think the Browns got rid of all the guys that liked Seattle's cast off. So I don't think that's going to happen again. But no, it's funny how he always seems to emerge and crush the hearts of the people who drafted the other running back, whether it was Precise or Rawls. Here comes Christine Michael, just here to bash the hopes and dreams in the preseason, and then I think there's another running back. Tim Hightower seems to never want to go away, and it's like, well, you've got C.J. Spiller, who you thought was going to be this next generation 200-yard guy, 200 carry guy, 80 catch guy, and he's nothing.
Well, I think the whole C.J. Spiller thing was he was like the year after Chris Johnson had I don't know if he had his 2,000-yard season or his rookie year, and he wore the same number, and he was really fast. And I'm pretty sure I took C.J. Spiller somewhere in the 6th round last year. And of course,
I whipped on him so
terrible.
bad.
I think I took him as like my 20th round pick in one of the NFL 20s. I'm in NFL 25s. I don't know. I like the, just real quick, the NFL 25 over the 10s, just because with the 25, you double your money if you come in second. And if you come in second in NFL 10, you just get a free league the next year. Just because I've never won an MFL 10, I've come in second like 5 times. So yeah, I want a few bucks, but because I joined 2 at a time, and man, those drafts are slow. But it is fun to see where guys go. And in one draft, Jeremy Langford went in the 2nd. Like, he must have had a good preseason game. He's actually looking good. So Sharona, that share you have of him is looking nice, but maybe not 2nd round good, because I got Jamal Charles right after that. And that was like
That's a guy I love. Oh.
In 4 drafts, like 4 MFL 25s in the first 5 rounds, I think I took 3 guys that weren't receivers. I mean, I'm following the receiver. It's like last year, everybody was like running backs first 4 rounds, and running backs sucked last year. So now it's receivers. Now it's kind of like just go at a position hard, and I've done it. It's been kind of fun. I mean, you can get quarterbacks. If you only have to start one quarterback, it's just like, it's almost as bad as defensive back. You can get the 25th and 26th quarterback, and you're feeling good.
Yeah, I've been drafting.
Looking good. I mean, dang, he's going like and not even being drafted in some of these.
Well, what's fun? Oh, it'll be quite interesting to see what happens. I think it's Friday when RG3 is able to line up with Corey Coleman, Terrell Pryor, and Josh Gordon.
Gordon, baby.
That's Friday night could break the internet. I mean, and you really need to be prepared. Friday night could break the internet.
I'm really excited.
If he throws touchdowns to Terrell Pryor, Josh Gordon, and Corey Coleman,
Fantasy football Twitter's going to lose their mind. You know that's going to happen.
Well, it wasn't just that RG3 threw 2 really nice downfield passes. Of course, we saw that in his pass. He slid like
yes.
A quarterback slides like way before guys coming close to touching him. Like most, he's like, oh, look at that.
He's really thriving under Hugh Jackson.
It's first into
it's
a
great to see.
Linebacker's shoulder.
I'm not trying to get excited, but at the same time, I'm a little bit more optimistic. I'm seeing him stay in the pocket, and I'm seeing him not get jittery, and I'm seeing him make good throws. Yeah. And that throw to Gary Barnidge, that was like throwing it into a bucket. I mean, it was just like almost a throw that, it was just one of those throws and catches that only Barnidge could have made. So I think the offense is going to be better. It's the defense that scares the bejesus out of me. And if I have a running back that is facing the Cleveland Browns, I am salivating still, because that defense still cannot stop the run. And if Joe Hayden's not healthy, the games are going to be shootouts, because that defense just still cannot stop anybody. It's still very scary.
There's going to be another round of free agency as soon as teams start, firming up their rosters. So, they could possibly make some moves that help a little bit. But I'm so happy for RG3. I'm really pulling for him.
Now, do we need to have some kind of embarrassing, like, Titans-Browns bet for them to go for the 3-peat 3 years in a row beating the Titans the week of that game? Because, both first preseason games for the Titans, they gave up really embarrassing long yards after the catch.
Ridiculous.
I mean, Ted Ginn's fast, but why is Antoine Blake wearing a long snapper's jersey number, and why is he playing like a long snapper playing quarterback? And on that Melvin Gordon touchdown, it was like somebody had him in a fantasy league. Like, let him score and let his fantasy ADP go up.
The same reason why Derrick Henry's wearing
someone played him in preseason DFS.
Same reason why Derrick Henry's wearing a kicker jersey. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I just want to say we've got about 12 minutes left. We cannot forget to pour one out for Craig Stevens and Nate Washington.
Yeah, that was... obviously, there aren't going to be many podcasts or shows talking about Craig Stevens retiring for the Titans, because he was the last guy left from the famed 2008 class, back when the Titans could draft a little bit. and he never caught a lot of passes, although he was underrated. He had one deep ball catch, and he actually had some speed, but he really was a blocker. And this is just what you see now in the NFL. Guys who probably could play 3 more years are just like, nah, $2 million or long-term hell.
I'm happy. I'm glad. I'm happy for them. I really am. And Craig Stevens is a guy who, as you mentioned, who is a blocker and who been fantastic at it. But he's also had some concussions and some other injuries too. And I hope that he is retiring at a time when he can live a full and healthy rest of his life.
Yeah, retiring at 31, but yeah, he was one of.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say it seemed to start even last year with some of these young guys retiring. You saw the 49ers lose a bunch of players right off the bat with Chris Borland, who was just a rookie, and Patrick Willis retire. And then you see, Calvin Johnson's retiring, and even, Marshawn Lynch is retiring, and you're seeing all these guys now just saying, you know what, that's it, peace out. I got some money, played some ball, had a blast, but, I don't want to end up being a vegetable when I'm 40, or, that risk.
Yeah, good for them.
But you know what it means. When somebody retires, that means it's time for the next crop. Mm-hmm. And the guy who should get his gold jacket maybe next week, Dak Prescott. Everybody's getting excited. 6 touchdowns in 2 weeks. That's pretty good, because in DFS, I couldn't imagine. Like, I've tried regular DFS, and that's stressful enough. But like preseason DFS, I think every player is the same value, and
everybody's the same salary. Everybody's $5,500.
Nobody gets 20 touches in the preseason. You just hope for a touchdown, and Dak Prescott is looking pretty solid. Like, the Cowboys were really worried because they lost that guy from Boise State who threw for a lot of passes and passed Rusty Smith as best quarterback 3 in NFL history. But sadly, he got hurt, so maybe they're okay. Well, you never know. Josh McCown. Sadly, I still have Josh McCown on my Dynasty roster. Ugh.
Yeah, everybody was talking about...
Waiting for RG3 to break down. Sorry, not going to happen.
Everybody was saying, oh, Cleveland, everybody should, Cleveland's going to trade Josh McCown. It's like, well, we've got a chip that is in demand. Why would we make another team better, or why would we trade that chip for something, take advantage of it? I was even thinking if the Browns were going to trade McCown, you know what? Second rounder. You guys need a backup quarterback that bad? Tony Romo's getting up there in age, and you need a backup veteran quarterback so bad. Let's start with a second round. And it's all about perceived value. And you see all these other quarterbacks get signed, and it's the quarterback thirst is real. Yeah. When you see guys like Brock Osweiler getting the money that he got, and when you see in Twitter, oh, Christian Ponder's in play for a contract, you're just like, okay, I think we're getting a little too crazy here with the quarterbacks, if I do say so. But
they made the joke. It was about the 49ers signed Christian Ponder. It was like, can they sign Jake Locker too, so then they can have like 3 of the top 12 picks of the 2011 draft? J.J. Watt taking one pick after Jake Locker. I still have the Locker jersey, and I'll never get rid of it because I hope the Titans never give another player number 10 as long as they exist. Go ahead, give Frank Wycheck's number to Philip Supernaw, but don't give anybody 10, please.
Well, if I recall correctly, one of the GM, I think the GM that we had in Cleveland not a few years ago, Lombardi, I think it was Lombardi, said that J.J. Watt would not amount to being more than a rotational defensive end guy, and that Blaine Gabbert was the elite quarterback of that draft. So
I recall being a little bit mad, like when the Titans didn't take him, but at the same time, I recall a 10-2 Missouri getting smacked down by 7-5 Iowa, and when like Gabbert needed to rally them for the game-winning touchdown, he threw the pick 6 that clinched the game for Iowa. And we could talk about Iowa-Missouri history, but we will definitely not go there. But we have to talk about a rare, like this is like I don't know, a total eclipse of the sun kind of rarity, like a Titan wide receiver rookie getting hype. Tajay Sharp, like I watched the preseason game. Sorry guys, they didn't go undefeated. They did lose the game, but you could tell they were like, give pepper this guy with targets. And he was getting open, he was running good routes, didn't matter how open he was making plays, and I think Sharona's excited because his like ADP was non-existent, and it's still like the 13th round. So, do we think this translates? Like in the regular season, does Tajay Sharp actually like lead the Titans in catches? Is that something that could happen this year? At this point, I guess everything could happen, but is it probable?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people are saying that he's their best wide receiver, and his ADP trajectory is definitely on the upswing, and yeah, it's exciting.
Well, I mean, the week, if I try to keep track of the fantasy industry, Fantasy Douche published an article in RotoViz about him trading a first-round 2017 pick. We know 2017 is the famed rookie class of all rookie classes. It's going to be 2008 on steroids, and he traded a first-round rookie pick for Tajay Sharp. Actually, I mean, in our rookie draft, Tajay Sharp went in the third, and I thought that was a reach, and obviously that's, nope, not a reach.
Who's been trying to tell you?
Well, according to the 4-for-4 ADP and a 12 team, he's still around the 20th round. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth.
He's still double digits, definitely.
Yeah, I just picked him in the 13th, but also
in NFL 10s, the difference between a 13th rounder and a 20th rounder, it's nothing.
Not really. Too much. Yeah. I think it's going to probably go up even more. I think Sharp, Coleman, and Shepard are probably going to be the three guys that stand out as rookie wide receivers this year. And I'm not saying that as a Cleveland homer, and I'm sure you're not saying that as a Tennessee homer, but Corey Coleman is going to be one of the only guys to really get targets in those first 4 weeks when Gordon's out. And Coleman, I think, is just he's just gonna get peppered with targets. I think between Barnage, I think Barnage is going to lose some targets. Although I think they'll still look to him in the red zone. But Coleman is going to be. I wouldn't be surprised to see Corey Coleman get triple-digit targets in his rookie year.
And can I mention perhaps the greatest play call in preseason history? The Titans running the Statue of Liberty to Delaney Walker. They're pulling the Boise State at some point this year. They ran the Statue of Liberty 2 weeks in a row, the real, handoff, but in the play, you do a fake handoff and something. So the exotic smash mouth is a little bit interesting to give Delaney Walker a carry in a preseason game.
They did an end around.
That was cool.
They did an end around.
They went to Sharp, and he's not an end around guy. He got destroyed.
I was like.
Nobody got blocked on that play.
Nobody did. I vined that play, and I was like, "Don't hurt my Tajay Sharp. Don't hurt my Tajay train." It was
Tajay
not.
Train, yeah, because
it was not a very good play.
A few other rookie wide receivers. How are you feeling about like Tyler Boyd and Will Fuller?
Tyler Boyd's intriguing because really, what does he have to do? Beat Brandon LaFell? As they say in fantasy, like targets are important. So all those targets that are gone, and Tyler Eifert's, who knows when he's playing. I picked him up in one league, and I'm scared,
him.
Man. I'm scared.
Him.
Sometimes he dropped, and you're like, keep dropping. So it's possible that he'll start. I know Sigmund Bloom, for some reason, doesn't like him because he's not that elite athlete, but it seems like he's Tajay Sharp-esque. He knows how to run routes, and he gets open, and Andy Dalton does the elevated.
You just said the name that
He can't throw every pass to A.J. Green this year, although I'm sure some people would like him to.
I mean, I really like Tyler Boyd, and I've almost drafted him like a few times, and I see that parentheses CIN, and I'm like, scroll.
Yeah. And then are you believing Sean Payton about Michael Thomas?
Yeah, and I am buying the Michael Thomas hype. I definitely am. Will Fuller, I had a discussion about him. I mean, lot of mouths to feed in Houston, and their quarterback situation is
It's a strange
very
thing to say,
concerning.
Alma.
It's very concerning. Michael Thomas, of those three, I'm more buying Michael Thomas than I am anybody
I
else. But
think I
I
have
do like
him.
Tyler Boyd.
I have him pre-drafted like in the 10th round of one of my NFL 25s. Like earlier today, I said like, wow, someone made a comment about how Sterling Shepard was like an Odell Beckham handcuff. I was like, well, handcuffs usually go a lot later, and Sterling Shepard,
Mm-hmm.
4 NFL 10s, he went in the 7th round, and a guy actually came back and saying he's actually going in 5th rounds in normal drafts because apparently we're not normal. Well, that's actually true, but in kind of like work office type leagues, Sterling Shepard has jumped through the roof. You don't get a lot of upside of that. People seem to not get excited about Michael Thomas, but really it's kind of weird. Like the Patriots haven't given Tom Brady like the early draft pick receiver guys, and the Saints haven't done the same. And even when they did draft him, they're like a Robert Meacham guy who sucks. Sorry, Tennessee, Sharona there, but he kind of did suck.
It's all right.
And they've
So,
been
so do
grabbing
you
guys
guys?
like what's his name, Willie Snead. He was an undrafted free agent who got cut by like multiple
Yeah.
teams, including I think the Browns. But hey, it's okay. The Browns, better days. So yeah, Michael Thomas, a first round pick, or was he a first round pick? Yeah, or second. Anyway,
Yeah, I think so.
they have targets. Marcus Coaston is gone, and I interrupted
You-
Sharona. So please talk.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, do you guys have? This is only the second. I'm about to do a snake draft, and it's the second one that I've ever done. Do you guys like have any tips for me?
For what?
A snake draft.
Are you drafting snakes or just what pick do you have?
I have picked
Gotta
7.
go Cobra.
Yeah, right. No, I have. Hang on. I have picked 7, I think.
Oh,
So it didn't really help me.
Pick
Like I'm
7.
in the mid. I know, like it doesn't help me at all because I'm in the middle, and the value of a snake draft is getting that flip.
yeah. Pick 7.
trying to
You're kind of
think.
in the middle.
Who I liked,
Picks.
I've gotten kind of all over the map. It's tough at the ends just because you have that long wait.
I mean, it kind of depends on your philosophy, running back, wide receiver. But with the 7th, I mean, you're looking at David Johnson, maybe Allen Robinson, Todd Gurley, maybe AJ Greenfalls, Lamar Miller. You're kind of looking at, kind of something similar to that. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins if he falls to you there at 7, which could happen. But it's kind of one of those spots where it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it either.
Yeah,
Let me see,
you're in the middle, so.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually a good segue. If you don't like snake drafts, well, why don't you do an auction? And we're doing the Going for Two auction next week. Mike Margosian, he actually set up our auction last year but couldn't participate. So he will be there next week. I think we're going to start a little early. Like we might actually start the show at 7 and the actual auction will begin at 7:30. This is an MFL 10 style, so it's everybody puts in $10, winner gets 100. Person who comes in second gets 20. There's nothing taken off the top there, and it's a $200 auction. And I'm sorry to say this, Mike, but there are team defenses involved.
Yeah.
I tried, but
7.
what are you going to do? So that's going to be what we do at next week's show. So it's going to be a very extended show. I believe Sharona's going to be helping the Tennessee economy by picking up some brandy over the weekend. So she will be prepared. I'll bring out my beer boot, which I used last year. I might wear my T-Rack hat for luck because it really helped me out when I spent half my budget on Le'Veon Bell and Eddie Lacy last year. Really worked out well for me. I think I finished in 10th. I don't even remember who won, but we do have I think about 8 people coming back. We still have 4 empty slots, so I'm just going to be posting the crap out of it so we can get a full draft. And a few people will be shown. I'm sure Lisa London will be on, and maybe Mike will be on having a special beer because he's got. Do you think I have beer? He has beer. So that's what we'll be doing next week. And Mike, if you're interested, we do have some slots open, and we want to get some heavy hitters. Maybe not too heavy, Maybe still, because auctions are
I think
still kind of new.
I've only done one auction league ever.
They're fun.
I've done probably 4, and
the one I was in was fun. It was interesting.
Like at the very end, you see all these players that are still there, and you're like, damn! And you're either totally broke or you have a lot of money and nobody to spend it on. Like, I did one auction where I ended up with like $40 left because there was nobody to spend money on. Like, I kept waiting. Yeah, you really have to time it, and like Sharona said, you've picked 7. You know you're not getting Odell Beckham. You know you're not getting Julio Jones. You're not getting Antonio Brown. But with an auction league, you can take 2 high-priced guys and spend your budget and go for the cheap, or try to wait. I mean, there's so many ways to go, and I'm sure after drinking, that really helps your strategery, as John Paulson would say.
I think one of the in the auction I did, I tried going with the strategy of calling out guys that I didn't want, and it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, sometimes you go like
half worked, half didn't, but it was. Yeah, I think I ended up with like Jay Cutler as one of my quarterbacks, and it was not a good time.
Sometimes you're like, well, let me just bump this, and then you end up with a guy. That's pretty much how in my dynasty league, the third highest auction in history was for Dave Ragone, because 2 guys got bored and just got into like an epic bidding battle, and then after it was over, it was like, why did I do that? I don't remember. So hopefully it doesn't happen in the auction, but we're doing it next week. Don't try to put the big bucks up for Cam Newton or Derrick Henry, because Sharona's gonna. I'm throwing those 2 out to begin. Sorry, Sharona.
Just bid her up. So that way she has to bid $1 on.
Last year, Brandy.
Take advantage of the homers.
Last year, Brandy was involved in the drafting. I don't know if I'll do that this year.
Yeah, I had the beer booth. That's why I was trying to switch it around, because my wife's out of town today, and I'm like, that'd be a good time to do a 3-hour drunken draft. But nope, next week. And the week after, I'm trying to get kind of a redraft going. I probably should start, looking for people. But yeah, the Going for 2 auction next week. The Going for 2 redraft. The auction, of course, is kind of a best ball. So we're doing the auction, then you're done. I like that. That's why I like the MFL 10s. I heard that the MFL 10s had roster management. I'm like, dude, no. Best ball is so cool. You just all right, whatever happens, happens. Oh, did Deion Lewis just get hurt?
Yeah, I think
damn. There goes a 4th-round pick.
I think my SFB 480 team is already in trouble.
Oh my gosh, Case Keenum's going to go for so much money.
I lost Jordy Nelson 2 days after we drafted. It was awful.
Yeah, I think last year Sharona got Jordy Nelson and Kelvin Benjamin. So
it was awful.
When you draft in 2 years before the season starts, these things happen. But damn, we went through an hour. I didn't get a chance to ask Sharona what Gawker was. We didn't mention college football, which is okay because Mike didn't really like it, so we can bring it up maybe next week in hour 3 of our auction extravaganza. So about Tennessee, man. Tennessee balls, baby.
Go balls!
Yeah. I went to Missouri. We might win 6 this year if we're lucky. Didn't get asked about Joey Bosa, but oh well. Such is life. So, Mike, what can everybody get when they sign up with 4for4? Here you guys have apps and stuff. What's happening there?
Oh man, if you're we've got a bunch of everything at 4for4. John is one of the more accurate rankers and projectors, so signing up gets access to his rankings and projections. Really good draft analyzer tool, so it's almost like having him at the draft with you when you're drafting. You're also getting my IDP rankings and content throughout the entire year. And if you are playing DFS, Chris Raybon and TJ Hernandez are just they're killing our content machine with everything that they're pushing out. And give a listen to their DFS MVP podcast if you're into DFS. They are really good, really knowledgeable, and are going to help you win money if you like that sort of thing. So check us out. Follow me on Twitter at Mike_Woellert, WOELLERT. Head over to 4for4.com sign up and win some money and win your leagues this year.
Yeah, it's been a 4-for-4 day for me. Mike, so gracious to join us tonight, and I had Jennifer Eakin on my podcast this morning. They do great work. You should definitely check out everything that they're doing, and just great people.
That is right.
That.
Yeah.
The Jim Caldwell avatars are always appreciated. So, Sharona, what's happening on your shows?
Yeah, well, we did 3 podcasts. We're doing 3 podcasts this week. We did one on Monday, one this morning, and then one again on Friday. And, of course, my Gawker article dropped last night. Farewell to Gawker, You Had to Die. If you haven't checked that out. And I'm working on some Titan stuff, and so hopefully I'll be able to finish that up tomorrow and get it in the editing process. And, of course, check out my DFS article on Inside the Pylon, ITP. I'm doing a DFS diary. I'm going to be writing fantasy content this coming season.
And I'm going to be drinking, so I am posted an article about my
you're
NFL
losing
25.
money.
What?
What's that?
So Zach is going to be losing money.
Well, it's why I limit my exposure. But in about 2 weeks from Saturday, it will be Sharona, me, and Josh Ducaster, who is a big fan of Vikings, will be in Nashville. And next weekend, college football starts, so that should be fun because I think Tennessee's playing on Thursday.
Yes,
Against
Appy
Appy
State.
State. Watch out.
Woohoo!
They beat Michigan once. Could be exciting. I don't know. But, I posted an article, I think, on Sunday about kind of my NFL 25 results. It's fun to do like a draft. I think one in like February, one in May, and then I did 4 right before. Because tomorrow is August 25th is the last day that you can start NFL 10s, so there will be much sadness going on. So thank you, Mike, for being on, and thank you, Sharona. And as we like to finish off, kiss Margaret.